Hi, Dean from Dean's Reviews here, and I want to take a minute today to talk about something that I get a lot of inquiries on, and that is, what is a VPN and why should I use one? Well, a VPN is a private connection to the internet using many servers. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. And normal connections, we'll talk about a VPN versus your normal connection to the internet. Normal connections are through your local ISP and are not private. Your ISP can watch what you're doing. They can watch where you're browsing. Actually, almost all of them keep logs, automatic logs, of every URL or website that you go to. A virtual private network, the key word there is private, because when you're using a virtual private network, your local ISP cannot monitor what you're doing. Okay? And what will a VPN do for you? Well, as I've just mentioned, it'll bypass your local internet service provider so that they can't keep an eye on you. Your IP address is masked. With your IP address being masked, your physical location is basically masked as well. Excuse me. Every computer that hooks up to the internet has a unique IP address, and that's how the internet as a whole can differentiate one person's browsing from another and keep things straight. It's like a physical address on your street. So because it's like a physical address on your street, anybody down the line that's able to monitor what you're doing can look at your IP address and look it up and find out where you actually are physically located in the world. A virtual private network prevents that from happening. A virtual private network will also allow you to access geo-locked content. Many countries and ISPs and companies can prevent you from viewing content that you want to see because you're not in a location where that they deem appropriate. A VPN, a virtual private network, lets you spoof your location so you can appear as though you're anywhere in the world. And a great example of this in my own case is that there's a show that I watch sometimes on British TV. It's on normally airs on BBC One. And if I go to BBC One's website using my computer and try to click on that show and watch it, BBC One's going to come back and tell me, I'm sorry, we can't show it to you because this is only available for people in England, in Britain. So what I do is I hop on my virtual private network. I tell the virtual private network that I want to use a server that's in London. London certainly being within England, as soon as I hook up to that server in London, I go back to BBC One, click on my show, and now I can watch it because as far as BBC One can tell, I am in England. So my virtual private network allows me to spoof my location and get around blocks from physical location. A virtual private network is also very, very nice in terms of securing your privacy. As I've already mentioned, your ISP can no longer see what you're doing, can no longer see where you're browsing, where you're going. ISP logs are no longer an issue. They can't log where you're going if they can't see where you're going. Sites that you access, cannot see where you really are. So for instance, if I'm using my virtual private network and I go on Google to browse for something or look for something, Google can't tell who I am. They can't tell where I'm coming from. Therefore, they can't add that information to that little database that they have on me, that collection of information they have about me. Further, merchants and advertisers can not track you the way they normally can. Everybody's had the experience where you're browsing, you go and click on an ad. It looks interesting, but you decide, no, I don't want it right now. You go on about your business, and it seems like for the next week or the next month or whatever, that ad is, every time you go someplace, that ad is popping up. You keep seeing the same thing over and over again. And the reason for that is because when you first watched that ad, they put a little tiny piece of code on your computer. Every site that you go to now sees that little tiny piece of code. It's called a pixel. They see that little tiny piece of code, and boom, that ad pops up again. With a virtual private network, they're not able to track you. They're not able to keep hounding you with ads. All of this basically amounts to anonymity. You can be out on the internet. You can be doing what you want to do. Nobody can track you. Nobody can tell who you are. Nobody can see where you're going or what you're doing. A virtual private network also gives you security. It provides a fully encrypted connection while you're online. Nobody can see or read what you're doing. And as an example of that, I don't know if you realize, but every time you send an email, your email goes from you to your internet service provider. It runs through who knows how many other servers before it finally gets to the person that you were sending that email to. Well, anybody along that chain, along that line, from you to your local ISP, all the way down to this final destination, anybody along that line can potentially pull that email and read it. Okay? It's not encrypted, it's not secure. Virtual private network encrypts everything, so anything that you send out is secure from prying eyes. Also, you can use your VPN if you're in a public location using public Wi-Fi. The last thing you want to do if you're at McDonald's or Starbucks or any other place that offers public Wi-Fi is to fire up your laptop and jump on your bank, for instance, and start doing your banking. Because there are programs out there that other people can have on their computers. The guy 2 booths down may be on his laptop and you think nothing of it, but he's monitoring the public Wi-Fi there at wherever you're at. And he's able to watch anybody and everybody that's there that's using their computer. He's able to watch everything that they're doing. And if you're doing your banking, he's able to watch your banking. He's able to grab your logon ID, your logon password, see what your balances are, get your account information, everything that you can do, he can then do. Virtual private network prevents that from happening and allows you to use your Wi-Fi where you want without concerns about security and somebody watching over your shoulder and seeing what you're doing. Now, there are a ton of different choices for virtual private network. If you go to Google and you Google VPN or virtual private network, you're going to come up with page after page after page of them, okay? I've used quite a few personally. I've used Hide My Ass, and yes, there is a virtual private network called Hide My Ass. I've used TunnelBlink, which is a free VPN. Hey, Dean here with a quick post-production note. I mentioned that in the previous slide there that I had used TunnelBlink, which is a free VPN. My advice is not to use free VPNs. You know, as I said, you can go out there and find a lot of VPNs. A lot of them are free. Don't use a free one. My hesitation with using a free VPN goes back to the old saw that you get what you pay for. Okay, if you're using a free VPN, you're depending upon that to keep you safe and to keep you secure. Hopefully, to make sure nobody's logging what you're doing. My question with those have always been, how can it be free? Okay, somebody's got to be paying for that VPN. So is it a manufacturer's paying for it? Is it an advertiser? Who's paying for that? And who's actually seeing the data that you're putting out there through that VPN? Just something to keep in mind. All right, back to where we were. I've used private internet access. I've used VPN Unlimited, and many, many others. And the one that I personally recommend, and that I would use over and above any of the others that I've ever tried, is IPVanish. Now, why IPVanish? Okay. Well, primarily because there are two. One basic downfall to a VPN, as you can see on screen here, is that VPNs can generally slow down your browsing connection. Okay, I've found IPVanish to have the least impact in terms of my browsing speed. They are one of the fastest VPNs that I've ever used. As an example, I've got a screenshot here. IPVanish is on the left-hand side, and a speed test, internet speed test, is on the right. As you can see, IPVanish is not connected right now. It's turned off, and I'm getting just straight internet speed going right to my internet service provider. I'm getting 151 megabyte per second download and 154 upload. Fairly decent speed. Okay. If I turn IPVanish on, there we go. Again, IPVanish on the left. You can see that it's now on because the option that I have down there is to disconnect. With IPVanish on, as you can see from the speed test, I'm getting 145 download and 126 upload. So before I had 150s, now I'm in the 140s, 120s. So it's still decent speed. It hasn't really slowed me down all that much. Okay, so IPVanish has very little impact on your speed and your browsing speed. Very important, for instance, if you're trying to stream a movie or something online. You don't want that computer to be sitting there buffering all the time because your connection isn't able to keep up with the movie. So IPVanish also, one reason it has, is because it has two exceptional features, and I'm not saying you're not going to find these anywhere else, but they're fairly unusual. IPVanish maintains no logs whatsoever. I spoke earlier about how your internet service provider, your local provider, always maintains logs of what you're doing, where you're going, your websites you're visiting, and so forth. IPVanish maintains no logs whatsoever. Again, adding to your privacy and your security. They also have what's called a kill switch. Now, what a kill switch is, and it's something that you can toggle on and off, but let's say you fire up IPVanish and you're out there doing whatever you're doing on the internet, and for some reason IPVanish disconnects, it goes offline, okay? It hiccups, you lose your connection to IPVanish. You can still be out there on the internet doing whatever you're doing, only now you're going through your internet service provider, your local internet service provider. You think you're secure, you think you're cool, but you're not. So what the kill switch does is sets things up so that if IPVanish for whatever reason should ever hiccup and you lose your secure connection, it shuts off your internet connection immediately. So oh, wait a minute, all of a sudden my internet's not working. You go and find out it's because IPVanish had a problem and it shut things down so that you're not out there doing something that you don't want necessarily somebody else to find out about, somebody else to see. Some of their other features, they have built-in 256K encryption, which I was just talking about a few minutes ago, bypassing geolocking, my example of the show in London or in England that I like to watch. They provide unlimited bandwidth. They have over 40,000 internet or IP addresses. So rather than use your own, like I said, an IP VPN always provides you with a new IP address. They have over 40,000 of them. One very fairly unique advantage of IPVanish is that they offer 10 simultaneous connections. Getting tongue-tied here. Give me just a second, please. Okay. They offer 10 simultaneous connections. So that means that you could potentially have 10 different computers that you own using IPVanish, each with their own connection simultaneously. I don't know why you'd ever want to do that, but the ability's there. They also support just about anything and everything in terms of equipment that you might want to be using. They support Windows. They support Mac. I'm on a Mac right now. They support iOS. For your iPhones and so forth, iPads. They support Android, all of your Android phones. They support Fire TV. You can install IPVanish right on your router at home so that it's always there, always on, ready to go. They support Linux, and they support Chrome operating system. So with all that being said, I hope I've explained what a virtual private network is, and I hope I've given you some reasons to have a look at IPVanish. If you decide you want to, check out the link that's in the description below this video, and I think you'll be very happy with it. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey, Dean here from DeansReviews.com. I hope you enjoy this video and that you'll share it with friends and colleagues. Please visit my site and my YouTube channel, Dean's Reviews, for more. On my YouTube channel, I'd ask you to subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified whenever I post something new. Also, I'd appreciate a comment. Don't be afraid to reach out to me at any time by emailing dean@deansreviews.com. I personally respond to all correspondence. Thanks.